Starting out today with this Lucky Craft Pointer 100 suspending jerkbait. This color is Aurora Green Perch. Done real well with this jerkbait in the past. I like to put some smelly jelly or other kind of paste consistency scent on there. The reason for the scent is actually twofold. First off, I mean, the obvious use for scent is when a fish moves in on the bait, they pick up that sensory information of taste and smell. The other reason is when they do take it, and I've actually had it happen where fish on a unscented jerkbait, they'll grab it so tight that you'll have them all the way to the boat, and the treble hooks are outside their mouth, and they've got it, and then they just release it, and that scent actually acts as a lubricant to let that hard bait slide in their jaw. So when you set the hook, that hook point can get right in them. The rod, reel, and line setup I'm using to fish these suspending jerkbaits is as follows. This is a St. Croix. It's actually one I made myself with the St. Croix blank, and of note is that it has a moderate action. Like I said, this is one I made myself, but if you wanted the equivalent of this rod and one you can buy off the shelf, it would be the Legend Tournament Deep Cranker. And I like the moderate action because it really helps keep these very tentatively hooked treble hook hookups in the fish's mouth. That rod blank really bends well when you're fighting the fish. The line set up here, I got 20-pound braid, bright yellow, so I can see that line. If it twitches, I know it's a fish. And I stopped halfway through the knot I'm tying. This is an Albright knot right here, and I'm tying a 10-pound fluorocarbon leader on there. And that'll actually help this suspending jerkbait sink a little bit, which is good. I like it to come to rest on the bottom, but I like to do that very, very slowly. Alright, wouldn't get anything on the jerkbait, and I decided to switch over to a very similar profile. A baitfish profile on the bottom. Got my first one here. He's a nice thick one. I'm actually fishing a Fluke. A soft plastic jerkbait that most people would consider, there's a nice one, a summertime bait, and it definitely is, but you actually want to weight them so that they get down on the bottom. That did the trick today in 36, 37 degree water, fishing flukes on a 1/8 ounce dragon head. Fell to nice little thick, and there he was. That feels good. Yep, 18.5 incher. Almost 19. 18 3/4. Beauty. Whoa! I even got a jump. Nice. I got a good pattern going. They don't usually jump for me this cold. Again, nice little tap, and he was on. One nice thing about using that 1/8 ounce dragon head is it doesn't require a whole lot of a hook set to stick them. A lot of times in winter, you won't feel that tap, and a real fine wire hook that sticks them for you is a real nice thing to have. Structurally, it's like I'm fishing, it's a lot like summer. It's very low water today, and there's a deeper pool up here, and it tapers up, and I got a real minor ledge system right here, and right as it goes from deep to shallow, they're on the front of that lip there. That's a bigger one, I believe. I don't have eyes on him yet. Oh, he's nice. Yep. Yep, that's a bigger one. He is hooked right in the corner, pretty tentatively, but I have faith that hook will hold. Same spot, taper up. Everyone thinks, you know, it's wintertime, you gotta fish on the eddy, on the downstream side. All three of these fish on non-typical, that fell right out, non-typical winter baits in a very atypical structure, you know, on the upstream side of something that blocks current. There's not a lot of current in this pool, and that's why this is a good winter pool. But third one on this taper up. Fishing flukes, fishing a summertime bait. That is awesome. That third one, I didn't feel the hit. It was just kind of there, and I looked up and the line was very slowly moving. That's why I love using this yellow braid to, you know, watch the line and see when it starts moving. Sometimes you'll see it hop and you won't even really feel the bite. Fortunately today, you know, the flow is low enough I can get away with an 1/8 ounce. And I think sometimes that has, you know, something to do with how they want it. They see it splat and they see how quickly or slowly it drifts to the bottom. And that rate of fall can be in the difference of catching and not catching some days. Sometimes they'll have one following. This one isn't real big, but I always look behind them, see if there's someone bigger in tow. Come here. Hey, little guy. Did you like that fluke? I feel the need to point out some very critical details for each of my catches today. Probably the two most important things were that I was stationary when I caught them. I was anchored up. However you get stationary, you can wedge on the bank or anchor or however you do it. Get stationary. The other thing is that my bait was stationary. I'm not hopping it, I'm not dragging it, I'm not doing anything in 30 some odd degree water other than just letting the real subtle action of that soft plastic kind of waver in place. It just kind of wags its tail. And they come across it, they see the glitter, and it's just sitting there. And I think smallmouth, if they can be scavengers, they will. I mean, they would rather be a scavenger than a predator. It's a lot of work to chase down food, but certainly if you know, a freshly dead minnow is just sitting there, they're going to take it. And that's what we capitalize here in winter, fishing a fluke or, you know, paddle tail or anything else that resembles a minnow, or even the suspending jerkbait. It may rip its way down there and then slowly drift into place, but the biggest fish that I've caught on a suspending jerkbait or any bait fish pattern in the winter have been when the bait's sitting still and I'm sitting still. Because it's so low and clear, and I've identified a structural element to the pattern which is very summer-like, low and clear, I'm trying to come up with other summer-like patterns, at least in terms of structure. And some of what I see out here are these isolated boulders. Like I got one right here, and there's a couple railroad ties caught up on it. That's the kind of place I would see them in summer, just kind of tiptoe up behind them. I don't see any there, but as I'm moving upstream, I got my polarized sunglasses on, and I'm looking for those shadows, for those big boulders out in the middle of a deep spot. Oh yeah! Right on that isolated boulder I saw earlier. I came up through, hit a different area, and just cast at it on the drift through, and he was there. Oh, that's a big one for the day, I think. Yeah. Oh, he's certainly the heavy. I saw the dark shadow of that isolated boulder out there, and I cast well enough above it so that when it, by the time it hit the bottom, it would intersect it just perfectly. If you throw right at it, it's gonna actually scoot over the top of it. And this just laid right up in there, right where it needed to be for this, I don't know, this nice one. What is he? Chunky 18-inch February smallmouth caught on a fluke on an isolated boulder. All right, the sun's getting low. It's all that warmth from the sun is kind of starting to fade. It's getting a little chilly. Time to head out of here, hit the ramp. Got 5 of them today on flukes. It's really not a bad day at all for February. It's kind of weird to catch them on that bait. It's something I think of in terms of summertime and throwing behind grass beds and stuff like that. But it worked today, and I'm glad I had them in the bag with me. Dragon heads are a snag-resistant jig head, perfect for fishing flukes or any other kind of soft plastics. To get a pack, or to get a copy of Jeff's Winter River Smallmouth DVD, visit confidencebaits.net.